So I want you to picture this. You're sitting on your couch after a long day, just sort of mindlessly scrolling on your phone.
Right, total autopilot mode.
Exactly. Nothing unusual. The room is quiet. Your guard is completely down. But then you see a video that makes you stop dead. It's a face you immediately recognize.
Yeah, someone famous, or maybe even a friend.
Yeah, and the voice sounds exactly right. I mean, the cadence, the pitch, that slight hesitation before a word, and the caption below the video tells you exactly how you're supposed to feel about what this person is saying.
Which is usually outraged.
Right. And before you even have a conscious thought to process the information, your heart rate spikes. Your jaw clenches. Your body is physically reacting with intense anger or maybe a sudden rush of fear long before your logical brain has even, walked into the room.
Oh, absolutely. Because the physical response happens way faster than the cognitive one. Your nervous system is basically flooded with cortisol and adrenaline before you can even ask yourself if what you are looking at is actually real.
It's terrifying when you realize it's happening.
It really is. That feeling of being emotionally grabbed, manipulated by an invisible hand. It's an incredibly visceral experience. And unfortunately, it's one that almost everyone listening has probably had by now.
Well, that emotional hijacking is exactly the doorway into today's topic, because that visceral physiological reaction is what the creators of that content are banking on to bypass your critical thinking. Welcome, listeners, to another My Mind MashUps deep dive, where we unravel mysteries, spark curiosity, and make sense of complex ideas together.
So glad to be here for this one.
We've got a lot to get through today, but first, we really want to take a quick moment to thank all the listeners who showed their appreciation by buying us a coffee.
Yes, seriously, thank you.
It genuinely keeps the research flowing and keeps this show alive. And as a quick reminder to everyone joining us, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy content that makes you think.
Which you definitely will today. We are looking at a massive stack of recent intelligence. We're pulling from, a bunch of places. The Reuters Institute's 2026 media trends, the latest FBI Internet Crime Report, some really stark warnings from the World Economic Forum, and research from both UNESCO and the Partnership on AI.
It's a heavy stack. And we are tackling what researchers are now officially calling the verification crisis. Our mission for this deep dive is to figure out how to navigate a world where seeing is quite literally no longer believing.
It's a whole new landscape. And to set the stage for this conversation, we need to remember that every deep dive is about sparking curiosity, challenging assumptions, and expanding understanding.
Right.
And the very first assumption we need to challenge today is the idea that our social media feeds are these neutral windows into the world. They are not.
No, definitely not.
They are economic engines designed to monetize your attention.
Which brings us right back to that moment on the couch, right? The manipulators behind the screen are targeting your nervous system first because they understand the economics of the platform.
Exactly.
The algorithms running these feeds, they reward speed, novelty, and above all else, outrage. If a video makes me furious, I'm hitting the share button immediately to, warn my network.
You're not stopping to check it.
No, I am not opening a new tab to slowly verify the claims. I'm just reacting.
Because verification is inherently slower than outrage. Truth is structurally disadvantaged in an ecosystem built on instant reaction. We're dealing with this huge collision of generative AI, algorithmic amplification, and, let's face it, shrinking human attention spans.
It's a perfect storm.
It is. The Reuters Institute's 2026 report highlights this as a fundamental shift in how humanity accesses information. They point specifically to the explosion of what they call AI slop as the main force reshaping our media landscape.
I have to say, the term AI slop is it's so descriptive. I love it.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it?
It does. The official definition we are working with is low-quality, mass-produced AI content that basically floods our feeds, our search results, the comment sections. It is essentially the industrial runoff of the generative AI boom.
That's a great way to put it. And we should probably draw a clear line between that and some other terms floating around out there.
Good idea, like deepfakes.
Right. So synthetic media is just a broad umbrella for any audio or visual content modified or generated by AI. Deepfakes, on the other hand, are highly targeted.
Yeah.
They're specifically designed to make a real person appear to say or do something they never actually did.
Very deceptive.
Extremely. But AI slop is different. It doesn't even have to be strictly malicious or targeted to cause massive damage to our information ecosystem.
Okay, the way I'm picturing it, AI slop is basically filling our collective information diet with endless digital junk food.
Oh, exactly. Yes.
We are consuming massive amounts of it every single day because the platforms just serve it to us nonstop. I mean, it's cheap to make, it requires zero human effort, and it is everywhere. But at the end of the day, it leaves us completely starved for actual nutritional facts.
Right, you eat a ton of it but get nothing out of it.
We feel incredibly full, but we are intellectually malnourished.
That is a perfect analogy. The sheer volume of that junk food creates a collapse of easy trust. When the marginal cost of creating like 1,000 fake articles or synthetic images drops to literally zero, the internet simply floods.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Finding actual nutrition, the truth, thoughtful analysis, original human reporting, that now requires an exhausting amount of effort. The algorithms push the slop because it keeps your eyes on the screen, and the creators produce the slop because the algorithms reward it with ad revenue.
Okay, but I want to push back on the novelty of this for a second, though, because looking at the history of the internet, hasn't it always been full of junk?
Well, yes, but
I mean, we have been dealing with digital spam for decades, right? The Nigerian prince emails, the fake virus pop-ups, those really sensational clickbait articles at the bottom of web pages. What makes AI slop and this current verification crisis uniquely dangerous compared to, say, the spam of 2010?
It's a fair question. The main difference lies in the unprecedented scale and the hyper-realism of modern synthetic media. It is no longer a poorly spelled email from a stranger that easily triggers your internal scam detector.
Right, the typos usually give it away.
Not anymore. According to some really rigorous testing by the Partnership on AI, average, highly intelligent people can no longer easily identify these simulated events. The outputs are flawless.
Wow, flawless.
Completely. A fake video can be generated in minutes, customized to attach to a trending political or social issue, and then pushed directly to an audience that is already emotionally primed to believe it.
So basically, the spam we used to easily ignore just received a Hollywood-level special effects budget. And like an army of invisible, hyper-fast bots to deliver it directly to our most vulnerable psychological triggers.
That's exactly what's happening. And that hyper-realism moves us out of the abstract annoyance of a cluttered newsfeed and straight into the realm of tangible, real-world destruction. This crisis is inflicting severe damage right now.
Yeah, it's not just an internet problem anymore.
Not at all. It is not just tricking our eyes for clicks. It is fundamentally compromising our financial security.
Let's talk about that real-world cost to your wallet, because the numbers in the FBI's 2025 Internet Crime Report, the IC3 data, they are just staggering.
They really are.
We are looking at $21 billion in total cyber-enabled losses for the year. And the subset of that, which is specifically AI-related complaints, nearly $893 million.
Just let that sink in.
Yeah.
Almost $1 billion extracted from everyday citizens using tactics heavily empowered by artificial intelligence.
But what is the actual mechanism of extraction there? Like, how does a synthetic video or a piece of AI slop translate into someone actually losing their life savings?
So the most devastating mechanism is the weaponization of familiarity. Take the voice cloning scam, for example.
Right.
A bad actor needs only a few seconds of audio, maybe from a quick video your grandson posted on TikTok a year ago,
Yeah.
to clone his voice perfectly. They call you at 2 in the morning. The caller ID might even be spoofed to look local, and the cloned voice on the other end is panicked. He says he caused a terrible car accident, he's in jail, and he needs bail money wired immediately.
And because you are waking up out of a dead sleep, your logical brain isn't functioning fully yet. You hear the unique cadence of your grandson's voice, your cortisol spikes, and the panic completely overrides your logic.
Exactly. You aren't falling for a bad link in an email. You are falling for a targeted psychological attack using tech as the delivery vehicle.
That is just brutal.
It is. The technology bypasses the healthy skepticism you would normally apply to a stranger. It also looks like incredibly convincing fake identification documents used to open credit lines in your name.
Which ruins your credit score.
Right. Or it looks like a completely believable video of a trusted public figure, perhaps a respected financial advisor, appearing to endorse a fraudulent cryptocurrency platform. It uses the faces and voices you already trust to dismantle your defenses.
And the damage scales up, right? From our personal bank accounts to the foundation of society itself. The World Economic Forum released a warning for 2026, arguing that this disinformation is actually acting as a multiplier of other crises.
Yes. The WEF is pointing out that the verification crisis does not exist in a vacuum. Disinformation erodes the fundamental trust required to manage sudden physical shocks to a society.
Okay, I need some clarity on the mechanics of that, because before we get into it, if this is resonating, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next deep dive.
It's definitely a crucial topic.
So my question is, how does a fake video of a celebrity or some localized deepfake actually make a completely separate physical crisis, say a massive hurricane or a sudden economic crash, harder to manage? I understand how it causes online confusion, but how does it worsen a physical event on the ground?
And understand the WEF's warning. We have to look at what is required to survive and recover from a disaster. It requires a baseline of civic trust. Neighbors need to trust each other enough to share resources. Citizens need to trust emergency services. People need to agree on basic shared facts like which roads are actually flooded or whether the local banks are genuinely freezing assets.
So the shared reality is basically the foundation of the recovery effort.
Precisely. Disinformation destroys that baseline consensus. Imagine a hurricane hits a coastal city. Within hours, hyper-realistic AI images of armed gangs looting grocery stores flood local social media networks.
Oh, okay.
The images are completely fake, perhaps generated by bad actors just aiming to sow chaos. But residents believe them.
Of course they do. They look real.
Right. So they arm themselves, they barricade streets, they panic. Now, institutions and emergency responders have to spend their critical response time debunking fakes and managing citizen panic instead of clearing roads and sending aid. The fake images create a real physical barrier to recovery.
And the manipulators often hijack the very people we rely on for that shared reality. The Reuters report actually highlighted that terrifying case involving the broadcaster Yalda Hakim.
Yes, that was a huge wake-up call. Yalda Hakim is a highly recognizable, deeply trusted journalist. And bad actors created a deep fake of her that resembled a legitimate professional news interview.
It looks so real.
It looked incredibly authentic, complete with the news graphics and her exact mannerisms. It spread widely enough to become its own news story. When you hijack the credibility of the trusted nodes in an information network, the journalists, the scientists, the local officials, you leave citizens completely unmoored.
That is deeply unsettling, especially when you think about how quickly these localized events can spiral.
It's a huge vulnerability. The financial devastation and the erosion of civic trust are massive issues. But the verification crisis acts as this bizarre, double-sided trap.
What do you mean?
Well, because fakes are now incredibly destructive and widely acknowledged by the public, bad actors have discovered a new psychological loophole. They are exploiting the mere existence of deepfakes to hide their actual real-world crimes.
This is the concept known as the liar's dividend.
Exactly.
Let's break down the psychology of this because it feels like the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card.
It really is. The liar's dividend is the phenomenon where the verification crisis harms truth in two opposite directions simultaneously. On one hand, false things look incredibly real. We just covered the financial and civic impact of that.
Right, the fake looting images.
But on the other hand, real, factual evidence becomes dangerously easy to dismiss.
So it provides plausible deniability for everything? Like, if a corrupt politician is caught on a hot mic soliciting a bribe, or a company executive is recorded admitting to illegal dumping, they no longer have to mount a complex legal defense.
No, they don't.
They just step up to the podium, shrug, and say, that audio is an AI fabrication. It's a deepfake.
And because the public is acutely aware that deepfakes exist and are highly realistic, that defense works. It plants the seed of doubt.
And the psychological relief of denial is really powerful too.
Oh, absolutely. If a politician's supporters are confronted with an uncomfortable truth about their candidate, the deepfake defense gives them an easy escape hatch. They don't have to grapple with the betrayal.
They can just ignore it.
Right. The cognitive burden is entirely shifted onto the journalists and the public, who now have to exhaust themselves trying to mathematically prove that reality is in fact real.
Which completely drains the power of factual evidence. So if our eyes and ears can be tricked and real video evidence can be casually dismissed, what is the technology world doing to secure the supply chain of truth?
Well, the tech industry is attempting to build what we could call hopeful infrastructure. One of the most significant technical countermeasures currently in development is an open technical standard called C2PA.
Right.
That stands for the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity.
And they are rolling out a system known as content credentials. But let's look at the vulnerability here, though. Is this just like a little logo or a visual watermark placed in the corner of a video because people can just crop those out?
It is much more sophisticated than a visual watermark. Think of content credentials as a cryptographic, tamper-evident seal, or like a digital shipping manifest that is permanently written into the hidden metadata of a file.
Okay.
When a photographer takes a picture with a C2PA-enabled camera, the file securely logs the camera sensor data, the GPS coordinates, and the exact time. If that image is later opened in Photoshop or modified by an AI tool, the software adds a new line to that manifest.
So you get a transparent, verifiable history of exactly where that file came from and every single change made to it before it reached your screen.
Yes, it creates a cryptographic hash. If someone tries to secretly alter the image and cover their tracks,
Yeah.
the mathematical hash breaks, revealing to the end user that the file has been tampered with.
Okay, but let's stress test this defense. Because if we rely entirely on content credentials to save us, aren't we just entering another endless cat and mouse game?
What do you mean?
Well, what happens if I see a verified image on a news site, but I just take a screenshot of it on my phone and share the screenshot? Does the cryptographic shipping manifest survive? Or what if a social media platform simply strips the metadata out when compressing the file to save server space?
You have identified the exact limitation of the technology. Usually, a screenshot destroys the provenance data entirely.
Wow.
And while platforms are getting better, metadata stripping is still a massive vulnerability. Detection tools and cryptographic standards alone will not save us. The AI models will continually evolve to evade detectors.
It's just an arms race.
It is. C2PA is an incredibly valuable piece of infrastructure, but provenance only works if the end user actually demands it, looks for it, and understands what it means when it's missing.
Right, because if a platform manages to successfully flag a video with an AI-generated tag, but the video confirms a bias I hold and makes me feel smugly validated, I might just share it anyway. The technology can label the slop, but it cannot force me to care.
Exactly. Which is why the ultimate solution cannot be a software patch. The final line of defense against the verification crisis is human.
We have to be our own filters.
It is the psychological discipline and the daily media habits of every single person listening to this deep dive.
Technology fails, so we have to become our own psychological firewalls. UNESCO actually put out a stark warning validating this exact point.
They did. They warned that AI mistakes, hallucinations, and deliberately fake content are now credible enough to deeply mislead citizens on a global scale.
Which is terrifying.
It is. And UNESCO has officially framed media and information literacy not just as an academic exercise, but as an essential, non-negotiable life skill for navigating an AI-shaped environment.
They are advocating for what researchers call calibrated trust. Because believing everything you see is obviously dangerous and leads to your bank account being drained.
Right.
But going to the opposite extreme, subscribing to complete cynicism, believing nothing, and assuming everything is a lie, that is just as dangerous. If you believe nothing, the manipulator's pushing the liar's dividend win anyway.
Exactly. The strongest position to hold is disciplined trust. You verify, you compare, you document, and you remain open to correcting your own assumptions.
Easier said than done, right?
True. But to make that actionable, researchers have developed a highly practical framework to help structure that discipline. It is called the PAUSE framework. PAUSE.
Let's break down the mechanics of this framework. The P stands for pause, which ties directly back to our opening scenario, that initial cortisol spike.
Yes, that gut reaction.
The moment my heart races and I feel that surge of outrage or fear, that is my physiological warning light. That is my cue to stop, rather than my cue to share.
Breaking that emotional circuit is the most vital step. Once you pause, you move to A and U, ask where it came from, and understand the incentive.
Understanding the incentive feels like the most critical analytical tool we have.
Right.
Following the motivation, right?
Always follow the motivation.
When I look at a piece of shocking media, I need to ask, who benefits if I panic about this? Who profits financially or gains political power if I share this unquestioningly?
And that manufactured panic is exactly what the algorithms thrive on, which leads to the S in the framework. Search sideways.
Meaning getting out of the algorithmic feed entirely.
Yes.
If I see a terrifying claim in a TikTok video, I shouldn't rely on the TikTok comments to verify it. I need to open a new browser tab, leave the platform, and see if multiple, independent, credible sources are reporting the same physical event.
You have to escape the closed loop of the platform. And finally, E is examine provenance and context.
This brings us back to the technical tools we mentioned.
Exactly. Look for the content credentials if they are available. Reverse image search the picture to see if it actually originated from a different event 5 years ago. Ask if the clip feels artificially cropped to remove vital context.
Okay, I have to jump in here on behalf of the listener, though.
Sure.
Because while this framework is logically sound, people are exhausted.
They are.
Asking someone to execute a rigorous 5-step forensic analysis for every single video, meme, or news clip they encounter in a day. I mean, that sounds like a recipe for total cognitive burnout. Nobody has the time to do a deep dive on their 15-minute lunch break.
No, that is a highly realistic concern.
Yeah.
And the goal of the PAUSE framework is absolutely not to fact-check every single molecule of data on the internet. That would lead to paralysis.
So how do we apply this discipline without losing our minds in the process?
The key to avoiding burnout is learning how to triage your attention. It is about recognizing high-risk moments versus low-risk moments.
Okay, give me an example.
You do not need to execute a 5-point checklist for a funny video of a cat falling off a sofa. If that cat is AI generated, the stakes are 0. It doesn't matter.
Right, who cares?
But you must deploy this framework when the stakes are high, when the content is asking for your money, when it is trying to change your vote, when it is telling you to hate a specific demographic of people, or when it triggers that massive spike in your heart rate.
We have to treat our attention and our outrage like highly valuable currency. Do not spend it cheaply on slop. If a piece of media demands your anger, demand to see its receipts first.
That's a perfect rule of thumb. The future information ecosystem is not going to reward people who stubbornly believe everything, and it's certainly not going to reward the cynics who simply give up and believe nothing. It is going to reward the people who know how to intentionally slow down.
That is such a powerful, actionable takeaway. And for everyone listening, if you want to keep building these kinds of mental frameworks and analyzing these systemic shifts with us, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to hear more My Mind Mashups deep dives.
As we wrap up our analysis today, connecting this verification crisis to the bigger picture reveals that this is not fundamentally a technology problem. Technology is just the accelerator.
Right.
This is a human challenge about how we protect our own minds, defend our communities, and maintain our shared reality in an age of hyperspeed information.
Absolutely. So we want to leave you with a final, somewhat chilling thought to mull over or explore on your own. We've spent a lot of time today talking about the immediate, high-stakes dangers, financial scams, fractured disaster response, breaking news manipulation.
The loud stuff.
Exactly. But think about your own personal digital history. Think about your family archives, the photos on your phone, the videos documenting your own life. If hyper-realistic synthetic media continues to scale at this explosive rate, and the tools to manipulate reality become even more seamless, what happens to our collective memory 10, 20, or 50 years from now?
That's a heavy question.
It is. When future generations look back at our historical records, or even when you look back at your own memories, how will the very concept of history change if we reach a point where we can no longer definitively prove which moments were genuinely real?
It fundamentally alters humanity's relationship with the past. If the past becomes entirely malleable, the foundation of who we are becomes unstable.
It changes everything about how we record the human experience. We would love to hear your take on this. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective could shape our next deep dive. Have you ever been completely fooled by a synthetic image, or how do you personally manage that feeling of cognitive burnout when the feed gets too overwhelming?
The conversation absolutely does not end here. The more we discuss the mechanics of these manipulations, the better equipped we all become to navigate them.
Remember to take that pause, protect your peace, and stay relentlessly curious. Find My Mind Mashups everywhere you listen. Amazon Music, Audible, Facebook, Pocket Casts, Spotify, TikTok, and YouTube. Until next time, keep questioning what you see, but never stop looking for the truth.